Today is the fourth day of June. I have a letter that was stamped on the 2nd of June to allow me to re enter Abaco. But the interesting thing about this is that I've been trying to get back to Abaco. It's like Abaco was never locked down. People was coming back and forth, back and forth. Before you had to go and get a COVID-19 test, all you had to do was go up to the commissioner of police and Paul Roll will sign you off. I went up there with 15 other guys. You imagine 15 of them went to Abaco already. I haven't got the call from Paul Roll to say he signed my letter. Then it's almost 2 weeks now. I went to Fleming Street. But before I went to Fleming Street, I went down to South Beach. I don't know Nassau that well. I was a Bay Street man. I know every shop there. That's where I've been going for 20, 30 years. I don't up and down in Nassau. It's dangerous. So I went to Carmichael, way down the road there. Find one clinic. My boys tell me, say, you went down to Carmichael? There's a place down there they call the Dirty South. I said, I don't call it a Dirty South or Dirty North. I want to get out of Abaco. I went into the Dirty South of Nassau. Got my test. Nothing. Go to the health department. Oh, you got to go back to Fleming Street. Went to Fleming Street. The other brothers that were there at Fleming Street with me got the test the same day. Carried the paperwork up in the health department the same day. They've been in Abaco 10 days already. Kai Mills just got his letter today, but they told me 10 days ago, 5 days they will call me. Not one call from the health department yet. I feel like my rights have been violated. You ever had that feeling? And it comes right from the top from the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister knew I am here. They purposely didn't want Kai Mills to attend the funeral of their loved one, of my loved ones. You see, if my mother would have died, you know what would have been vexing? They're so childish, this government is, and petty this government is. My mother died also the result of the hurricane. If my mother would have died in Abaco, she would also be in that trailer. So you tell me that they were going to disallow me, like how they did many others, to come and to bury what they call the remains? This is vexing. And they know I was in Nassau. They know I wanted to be there. But they purposely interfered with my constitutional right, saying that I had to get this test. Well, not only did they say I had to get the test, I'm sending this out to the world because Bahamian don't hit the streets. They don't hit the street for nothing, unless it's a Masonic lodge. But I can't even find the words that they're trying to anger me after I went through so much. Hurricane season started 4 days ago on the 1st of June. I am one of the fortunate ones on Front Street, Dunderstan, that can rebuild. There's many of my neighbors will never rebuild for the rest of their life. The landscape has changed. And you imagine I'm trying to get home, and the man that's in charge of health now, since I went to Fleming Street, is the most honorable Prime Minister. So I'm letting the world know. I went there today after I was at the boat yesterday, and I saw a lot of Abaco girls has this letter. I said, what is this letter for? Say, oh, we don't have to take the COVID-19 test anymore, but you have to get this letter to go home. I said, well, I already took the COVID-19 test, and I still can't get a letter. There's another letter you got to get? There's so much confusion that is messing up the mental capacity of persons who went through Category 5 storm. There's nobody to talk to get the right answer. So I went to the health department, sit down there for an hour and a half. Lo and behold, one fella come out and tell me, say, "Oh, you got to come back at 12:30." I said, "Well, this other fella telling me it's the guy upstairs, and he's going to come down and sign me up, because I thought it's a new thing. You got to get signed up again to get a letter." So lo and behold, the incompetent authority came in, the most honorable Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis. Well, I was glad to see him. Never thought I'd be glad to see him. But he walking so fast. I say, "Dr. Minnis, hold on. I trying to get out of here. I need to get back to Abaco to rebuild." He ain't say a word. He passed me like July past August. Like that was Hurricane Dorian. Whoop, gone. I said, "All right, I ain't going nowhere. I'm going to stay right here until he come back down." Boy, look at when they hear, one fella say he heard that somebody approached the Prime Minister about their letter. So he said right away, that got to be Kai Mills. I know he must be one of them spiritual leaders. He could have felt my presence. So he came down and said, "Kai, I knew that was you." He knew me. I don't know him. He used to be in Abaco crawfishing with paper them. So you know he went way back. But he said, the Prime Minister tells somebody to give you that letter, basically get you out of here, because he didn't want you to be downstairs when he is leaving. But I wanted to be downstairs to ask him a couple questions. I was the only professional newscast there. I wanted to talk to him to find out what's going on, what is priority. But you know what? The Spirit said, "Kai, you know what? Leave it alone. Get you the letter." That doesn't mean anything, because this letter saying that if I want to travel today, on Tuesday, when they open up the airway, this letter doesn't mean anything. So in essence, this letter that I had to wait for 5 weeks when I took my first test, essentially is a waste of time, because I don't need that at the airport. How could this happen to somebody that went through a storm, that lost my mother, lost my home, lost my job, lost my city, lost electricity, 9 months and no electricity, 9 months, no water. Somebody told me they're working on the water with me today. So let me say, as of now, I don't know if I got water. 9 months, no water. And I've been locked out for 7 weeks when we should be in Abaco building. I am a leader, a helper. I should be helping some older person, some widow, try to get back to some sense of normalcy. While the government of the Bahamas has collected millions on top of millions on top of millions, and Abaco has sent in $45 million for the past 20 years plus. 45 million. Abaco alone has sent that in with tax revenue. And to date, we can't get 5 of that. All we got after the hurricane, I want to detail it, we finally got the streets, front street of Marshaba cleaned up because they were having the funeral. And they didn't want the embarrassment of having not cleaned. There are 2 embarrassments there. They couldn't bury the dead in a timely fashion, nor could they pick up the garbage that's been there for 9 months. The only thing they've done is to invest it with their friends and their cronies, $7 million. I don't even think the domes that they invested $7 million. I want to let the world know that it's cronyism. It's inside dealing. The government is dealing to enrich themselves. That's the only way they could settle for $7 million temporary dome when $3 million worth of material could have put all of Spring City back to normalcy. And the 4 other million could have put Dundas, Murphy, and Central Pines and Marsh Harbor with material back to some normalcy. But they wasted $7 million on drones. They wasted $17 million on drones to fly over, and the Haitian boat still coming, the Cubans still coming, and they give this $17 million after Hurricane Dorian. So we still weren't first on the list. But watch this. This is ironic. The Haitians is now begging the government, please, I want to get out of this God-forsaken country. Please, the Haitians, for the first time in the history of this country, do not trust this government and this prime minister. And the Haitians, they say, please, by all means, get us back to Haiti. It is better to be in Haiti than to be in the Bahamas under the most honorable Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, and this F&M government. The Haitians are begging. Every newspaper, every radio, please, please, me want ale, vite now. Want to go home. Tired. The only other accomplishment, if you want to call it accomplishment, they opened the biggest landfill in the history of Abaco in the front of the only low-cost home that this government has finished. They didn't start it. They finished it. The only housing in 3 years. And they put the biggest landfill in the history of Abaco right in the front of this place. So what happens there? You got a lot of flies. Them big rats look like cat already assembled. Bugs. People can't sleep in their bed. The bugs are so small they come into the screen and they're biting bugs. What if they have the virus or some other disease? It's all because of the uncaring, heartless government that just came to power that will go down in history as the worst government in the history of the Bahamas and indeed the Caribbean. Mean I say that it's that while I got the data proves that any country that can't bury the dead, and when they bury the dead, they refuse to have their loved ones partake in their dead. Weren't even allowed to leave Nassau or Freeport because of this COVID-19 test. They disallowed them to get the test. So closure will never happen. That is the F&M government of today. Spiteful, unbohemian, unfriendly, without a heart or without a soul, that they disallow Kai Mills to attend the memorial, and they disallowed me to go home 7 weeks later. That gotta be a breach of Kai Mills' constitutional right. Kai cares. Letting the world know what somebody has been through a storm is still going through a storm 9 months later. The storm of the F&M government is still moving throughout the Bahama land, and indeed, Abaco is being punished because they vote F&M.